After a bonkers opening weekend, college baseball rebounded and stabilized with, bonkers midweek? Well, we're in midseason form already. It's weekend 2 breakdown on today's episode of College Baseball Now.
Yeah, ain't no problems, that won't problem with me, no. Yeah.
Let me talk to the chat. They know I was gone for a minute, had to BRB. Had to grab a couple wins with I DID. They sleeping on the kid, I had to do it BIG. I can never be average, and they want a problem with the boy, they don't want no static. I don't need your cosign running with God. Wanna test that, tell them what's happening. Took control, run the game. Best believe I'm shining dog. Counting in my wins, yeah, I love it when they count me out. Off the leash, shut the chain, boy, I've been a dog. Best believe I run the game, you know I'm in control of y'all. It's like magic, believe I want that static. Yeah, it's like magic, believe I want that static. Yeah, it's like magic, believe I want that static. See them all, knock them out. They really don't want no static.
Filmed in front of a live studio audience, it is College Baseball Now. Thank you, Alder, thank you. Okay, that's enough. Thank you. Glad to be here with you. It is, of course, your friend, your host, your boy, Drew Wheeler, Director of Amateur Scouting at Prospects Live, joined by your friends and mine, the rest of the crew here. And we're going to start with the gentleman to my right. It is Mr. Josh Catlett. Josh, how's it going, sir?
Pretty good. Watched an insane amount of baseball this weekend. I was in the park yesterday for Auburn's game, so I didn't get to catch a ton of the midweek action, but enough to know what went on, so we're good.
We're good. We're solid. And, I mean, you got to see quite a few guys. Anybody who's stayed tuned to prospectslive.com has gotten to read a little something from you about that game, but we'll get into that a little bit later on. What are you drinking? What's in the cup? What are you drinking?
The same water I have every podcast.
Okay. All right. Josh
I
is
can't
boozing
filter
tonight.
enough before it doesn't spill.
Don't ruin the computer. He's boozing tonight, folks. The takes are going to be wild. Underneath him, bottom right, we've got JB Sebastiano. JB, hi.
How are you doing, Drew?
Oh, my gosh. I'm great. Thank you for asking. I'm so flattered. How about yourself, sir?
I'm doing great. Just excited to talk about this mad week of baseball we got coming in. What happened?
That we do. Mr. Catlett, not intoxicated whenever he made this list of games for us to pick tonight. We've got some midweeks to talk about, a lot of good stuff. JB, you've got some looks from the park as well. It's been an active week for you guys already at the park. And speaking of at the park, it is Coach Jake Bargery. Jake, you looking good. Blue suits you, pal. I like the blue on you.
I appreciate that. I put some thought into it when I put this shirt on that I thought Drew might like the blue.
Yeah, and you're right. It's because my name rhymes with it. That's what it is. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. And nice hat, of course, as well. We matched Josh, JB. See, you missed the memo. That's too bad, but that's okay. That's all right. The live studio audience and you all watching at home are going to have a good time regardless because, like we said a minute ago, college baseball has well and truly fired up, and we are past opening week. As you're listening to this, we are preparing for weekend number 2 in NCAA 2026 action. And guys, that would mean that we are on the 12th episode of the show. Happy 12 episodes to all of us. That also means we've got some midweeks to talk about before we get into the weekend pick'em, starting with week 2. Josh, if I'm not mistaken, you and I have the most points currently with 3. And then our co-hosts here have 2 apiece. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I'm pretty sure I only have 1, actually.
Jake is right.
Don't sell yourself short, Jake. I was going to let you take the extra point to stay tied.
I was going to say, Jake,
I would really gladly take it, but
all in favor of an honesty point for Jake. All in favor.
I'll give him the honesty point.
We'll see. I'm trying to win.
Okay, 2.25 votes for yes. Then. Let's get to midweeks, though, guys. Jake, because you were honest, I can't guarantee the point, but I can tell you we're going to start with you to talk about some midweek games. Coastal Carolina, popular team leading into the season. They've got this gentleman by the name of Cam Fluke leading them from the mound, and yet along came a chewy little team called Charleston, and some nonsense happened. Jake, walk us through what happened here.
Yeah, I did get to watch most of this game. It was low scoring pretty much the whole game. Going into the eighth inning, it was Coastal had I think a 2-3 lead. Charleston ended up loading the bases with I think it was a couple walks or a hit and a couple walks, something like that. They got the bases loaded, had a ground out, sac fly, both scored runs to take the lead in the eighth, and then the last play of the game, Blake and Pato, he hit a ground ball deep in the hole, shortstop for Charleston, like backhands it, first baseman makes a crazy, insane stretch to finish the play. There was like a video review, all kinds of nonsense going on, but the video confirmed that the play was made, and it was just it was a good upset for Charleston and a really good road win for them.
Yeah, I mean, name a better win for the RPI for Charleston. That they're going to hang that one just like a frame of the first baseman in the clubhouse for years. You remember that? That was when we beat
The
Coastal.
one thing that I think is worth note in that game too, and for a lot of us, I guess if you're looking at it from a draft perspective, which I know all of us do, Nate Taylor, the left fielder for Stetson, had a pretty brutal night. Or from Stetson, Stetson transferred to Coastal. Pretty brutal night for him. If anybody watched it, which Jake did, of course, in full. Defensively, a few miscues out there at the plate. Not a polished night, so kind of interesting to see. I think one of his errors did lead to a run for Charleston, I believe. He dropped the fly ball on left, which then led to a run being scored. I think it was the first of the game. So, rough night for him.
Yeah, not an ideal start for him, and not an ideal loss for Coastal. It's a long season, though. This is going to be one they look back on and say, that was just my first form. We haven't even evolved with all the horns and stuff yet. We still have more to come. I'll tell you another game, guys. Morehead State and Kentucky. So name a team with more bad luck thus far than Kentucky. I'll wait. Morehead, Jake, we talk a lot about the mid-major teams. And with Morehead State, they have a gentleman playing third base for them, Aubrey Kearns, who really went off through this game. 3 for 5 with a double and a home run. But then, buddy, I got to give you credit. On the Twitter machine, it was a retweet for me. It was a like for me. Devin Costa, the closer, it was, I believe, we're talking mid-70s, and this is a deep submarine closer for them. Strikeout, fly out to end the game. 65-mile-per-hour changeups. This guy's burning down doors. Like, honestly, whatever the opposite of gas is, solids. This guy isn't throwing gas; he's throwing solids, and it's insanity. Big ups to Devin Costa, and congrats to Morehead State. Jake, I think you mentioned you watched the end of that. Josh or JB, did y'all see any of that game at all?
I did watch the end.
I caught like the last like couple ABs. I think I wasn't able to catch much.
Yeah.
So is this the Devin Costa fan club then?
It was pretty awesome to watch. I mean, when you watch the game, I forget who was in the box, the last hitter. It was hilarious watching him try to foul off the changeups. He just looked like he had no idea what to do. They couldn't square anything up. It was just frustrating, it seemed.
Love it. Josh, it's crazy too because, you got to think velocity's increasing. So a guy like this becomes even more of a unicorn as average velocity goes up year over year.
I mean, yeah, I agree. It tends to be, people want to talk about how, like older people that haven't been in tune with the game want to talk about how there's too much velo talk everywhere with, like pitchers and prospects and stuff like that. But I mean, everything you run, every kind of like, whether it be a model or just basic statistical stuff will tell you that like velo has the highest correlation to success for any other metric from a pitcher for fastball specifically. There's a reason for it. I mean, like there's a very valid reason why it's the main talk, and as demonstrated yesterday, it's way harder to hit.
It is. Absolutely. When I do drop a video, Lance Brodzowski style, about why the next big trend in pitching is 75 miles per hour with 60-mile-per-hour changeups, though, you heard it here first. That's all I'm going to say. JB, some Florida teams went at it, including Miami. Maybe more importantly, though, old Central Florida. Walk us through what happened in that one, pal.
Yeah, so Andrew Williamson, one of our faves on the prep or NCAA 100, he really, really had a nice game. 3-run homer, another double as well there. Matt Saucer for UCF, 6 innings, no runs. He showed out very well, but then it kind of all crumbled apart for UCF when we get to the 9th inning. A 5-2 lead. They bring in Chandler Dorsey. He hit 4 batters in the inning, allowed 3 runs on 1 hit. tied the game. UCF goes in extras. They bring in the former South Carolina Gamecock, Roman Kimball, and it all went down from there as Vance Sheehan, the South Carolina upstate transfer, hit an absolute nuke off the scoreboard off of him to cap off an insane game for Miami, which was pretty fun to watch as the parking deck in right field was packed out. Had to have like 200 people out there in the parking deck watching this game. So crazy game for Miami to come back and win, showing off the offense. But I think it gave us a good glimpse as well to the offense's capability and what it's going to look like against real pitching after that crazy weekend against Lehigh. It kind of balanced itself out to see that they're going to be more of an average-ish offense probably in the long term. So it'll be interesting to see how they play going forward.
Definitely with you, and seeing kind of normalizing. It would be the word I would use, and I like the way you described it. To see Miami's offense normalize in that way was very good. I got to give props to a kid, Jordan Lodice from UCF. He's been impressive. I mean, we're talking first week of the season thus far, but I mean, the bloodlines are there, and he's been impressive. A double in that game, if I'm not mistaken, down the line and left. Just an impressive hit from him, and he's had a solid career thus far. Credit to him. A can of Coke to you, Mr. Lodice. And George, you did attend the game, as we alluded to earlier, at Plainsman Park. I'm curious, was it a good day for your Auburn Tigers?
Not in the slightest. Like not a single silver lining there. Nope.
Sorry.
I have an article out about more of my opinions on certain people in this game, but I'll try and not go on a super big rant here. But let's just say it wasn't a pretty day at the ballpark for Auburn. Timely hitting did not exist. That's the best way I can sum it up. Hitting's been the issue for the whole, or for I guess just the first weekend, besides that third game of the Youngstown State series. That wasn't supposed to be the problem coming into the year, so it could just be like a early slump of some sort. Lord knows what. But they scored 2 runs in 2 separate games against Youngstown and got blanked yesterday. I don't know what it ended up as. I know like at one point late in the game, Auburn was 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. I think we only got one more runner on in the 8th. I remember Fralick got on in scoring position in the 8th, and people were making a comment about how that was the first runner on in scoring position since the 3rd inning, which says a lot too. But it was such a lack of timely hitting. Cincy's pitchers did a really good job getting out of jams. Like Dylan Schuler, the starter on the mound, got himself in a couple jams. He found a way to get himself out. Wasn't guys with the best stuff in the world, but they were able to put together the pieces and get the job done. Cincy played small ball on the offensive side like they always do. Some guys really stood out on that front, able to just like lay down bunts. Jackson Smith, Derek Pitts stood out to me in particular. They were able to get a couple bunt singles, actually, but they just hit guys around, tried to steal bases. Auburn kept trying to pick them off. Didn't work, and they would still steal the bases. And it was working just fine. Cincinnati was able to walk into Plainsman Park, play their style of ball, and completely fluster Auburn. It was so frustrating. Butch in his post-game presser said, like, the same thing I was saying during the game. People were, like, texting me, like, what are we doing? What's going on? And I'm like, we just have uncompetitive ABs whenever we have a chance to score. And Butch in the post-game was like, I don't know what's going on with our offense. Our guys just look almost non-competitive at the plate. He was saying that, like, I don't know if they're trying too hard. That's the phrasing he used. But it's non-competitive, and it's very irritating. Hopefully it can be turned around in Arlington this weekend, but shout out to Cincinnati because they did look legitimately good. But I think it might be more of a concern for Auburn at this point.
Interesting. Coach, I'm going to go to you here. I'm curious, do you think that Butch may be onto something there? Is it guys trying too hard? Is it early season you want to come out and be impressive and kind of live up to a lot of the expectations that, I mean, the national media, us included, have put on Auburn, or is it maybe something deeper than that, Jake? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I mean, we've seen it before with teams with high expectations kind of come out the gate a little bit slow. Yeah, I don't really know what you kind of chalk it up to, but I mean, yeah, I mean, and they're just going to need, they're going to need guys to make up for the loss of, while Chris Rembert's out, they're going to need guys to step up and hit in his place. I don't really know what to point to being the issue, but it could be the expectations. It could just be they're off to a slow start. I don't know.
Could be any number of things. With you there, JB, wanted to go to you really quickly on this as well. Never want to deprive you of the opportunity to Nana Boo Boo Josh. So if you want to do that, you may do so.
I think Josh did a great job talking about that game. I watched little bits and pieces of it, and he hit the nail on the head. It just looked kind of almost like what he was talking about. Like they're trying a little bit too hard on competitive at bats at times. They look like they're pressing, honestly. I guess that's the word I'd use for it. They look like they're pressing as a whole squad. So
Very good. Hey, appreciate that. And Josh, you were being modest. Definitely check out the article on prospectslive.com. Josh did a great job writing up a lot of guys you're going to want to care about for the next 2 drafts. He's one of the best in the biz for a lot of good reasons, and they're all on display in the article. Go check them out. And Josh, because I am not tired yet of you talking, I'm going to have you remind the listeners at home about our weekend pick'em, how it works with things like the events, the big series with lots of games over the weekend, how that works towards our scoring, and walk us through what inspired you to pick these different games before we jump into picking them and talking about them.
Yeah, so the scoring is pretty self-explanatory. If it's just a series between 2 teams, we're going to go through and pick the winners. You get a point for whoever wins it. For these multiple team events with 4 and 6 teams in them, we pick the team that we think is going to end the weekend with the best record, and run differential will be the tiebreaker there. We tried to pick like a combo of the most intriguing series from like a power rating standpoint, and also just from like a competitiveness standpoint. A couple of these didn't look interesting at all before last weekend, but all of a sudden they are interesting. So there's that aspect of it too. Even though we might just sweep the board with the picks, I feel like it should be talked about. Yeah, I mean, that's probably about it. Most of the big series and most of the big things you'll be tuned into over the weekends are kind of what we're looking for in terms of what to pick.
Definitely. Hey, well said, buddy. I appreciate that. With that, I guess we should go ahead and start at the top, as you will. We read top to bottom, left to right here in America, as you do with any English language. We'll start with TCU taking on UCLA. Interesting series. Certainly, I think we alluded to it before we jumped on and recorded, made a little bit simultaneously less and more interesting because we're not going to have Tommy Lepore pitching for TCU on Friday night. We have learned that the big guy has some arm issues that we're trying to be preemptive about taking care of, letting him rest. Thus far, nothing announced unless I've missed something, fellas, in terms of time or surgery. Certainly nothing like that.
don't think we've seen it. Nothing.
Okay, good deal. Well, Josh, because you walked us through it, I'm going to let you go ahead and talk about TCU, UCLA. What are you looking at most from this series? What do you think is going to be the linchpin of the series, so to say?
Yeah, I think you can look at it from multiple angles on both sides. First of all, this is just an electric series to have this at any point in the year, but especially this early in the year. Tommy Lepore being out hurts. That throws a wrench in it, but kind of like we've discussed beforehand between the 4 of us, kind of evens up the pitching matchup a little bit because TCU had a clear edge on that before Tommy Lepore went out, but now it's relatively equal, I'd say. On Friday, TCU probably still does have the advantage with Mason Brassfield over Logan Redeman, but it tends to be a pretty level playing field throughout. I think another big guy that's going to matter, I think the guy that's going to matter the most for TCU will probably be Noah Franco, because we saw what he did against Arkansas last week in relief. 3 innings pitched, didn't allow a single run, 4 strikeouts, no hits. He might actually have to step up into that Sunday role now. That's a possibility. Or they just rush Nolan Johnson back from his midweek spot. We don't really know that yet. I think Noah Franco could fit really well into that role and be competitive, but even if he's not, in the closest game they have and the game they need to take the most, he's got to step up and be super competitive and do what he did last week. UCLA lineup looked pretty good last week, and they looked really good in the midweek. So it's just kind of like continuously improving upon what they've done. Rock was solid last week on the weekend, 4 for 12 with a home run and 2 doubles. Had a really good day yesterday with a couple home runs. He's got to be great. He was good last week. He needs to be great to take them over the top this weekend, along with the rest of that well-rounded lineup. The starting pitching looked all right. Like Logan Redeman, Landon Stump looked all right. Michael Barnett had a good outing. 5 innings pitched, 1 earned on 2 hits and 4 strikeouts. He's got to keep that up again. I think if those pieces work together for UCLA, they should have enough to overcome a depleted TCU team early in the year.
Interesting. Hey, I'm with you, man. I definitely am with you on Noah Franco being a pivotal guy for TCU in that series. Jake, going to go to you. When you look at this series, TCU, UCLA, What jumps out as being kind of a deciding factor, something pivotal that you're noticing about this series?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna learn a lot in this series. This is a couple teams that we've given a lot of hype to, and at least in the preseason and even in after week one. Like Josh talked about, TCU's pitching depth is going to be tested a little bit with Lepore not being able to go. He mentioned, it could be it could be a number of guys get that start. We haven't seen the freshman Yuli Fernsler yet this year. I don't know that he would get a start, but I'd expect him to see him at some point this weekend. I think that would be pretty fun. But then, they do lose their midweek game to UT Arlington last night. And then from last weekend and then losing that game, they haven't really come out the gate looking like just the hottest team in the country. But neither is UCLA. They dropped a game last weekend to UC San Diego. It was a good program and has had success in their conference. But, for us to call UCLA, a top 3 team in the country, you'd expect them to take care of business at home against them. But either way, I think I could speak for everyone in saying that, I wish this series was televised nationally, besides just the first game. I think the first game's on like FS1 or something like that. But it'd be fun to be able to watch them all. But I'm just looking forward to seeing what we're going to learn about, both programs this weekend.
Totally. It is going to be a good learning opportunity, and we're going to see a lot of kind of what makes these teams up from the inside out, Jake. That was a good call. JB, going to you, buddy. As Jake kind of alluded to, this is between us, this group, our number 3 team in UCLA and our number 6 team in TCU. That's a top 10 matchup that would be like, College game day is here, and Pat McAfee's doing insane stuff outside the campus, probably getting arrested if he wasn't Pat McAfee. What are you seeing as the main driving factor between this game that you think is the key that ignites either of these teams?
Yeah, I think we talked a lot about the pitching, and the only point I'll hit on is the UCLA bullpen being really a very fringy aspect of their squad so far this season. So I think the bullpen's going to be interesting. Cervantes had a really poor midweek start, and he was a big part of the bullpen in the first weekend as well. I expect Justin Lee to step up. Chris Grochus had a bad first weekend. He's one of their main relievers coming out. So it'll be interesting to see who they rely on in that bullpen going forward. But to go to the TCU side, we kind of hit on the pitching. I'll go more offensive in my takes here. The big X factor, I think, for them is Lucas Franco. I think Lucas Franco, he showed up really big in the first game. He had a homer, the triple, deep fly out. Everybody was talking about, how great and polished he looked at the plate that first game, and then he kind of fell off and has gone 0 since. So it's really something that if he can figure it out and do some damage for TCU in the middle of that order, he's a big X factor for them, along with Sawyer Strauss-Snyder, who's kind of been quiet since that first game. He's played okay. So I think it's Strauss-Snyder and Franco will be the big pieces they need. Chase Brunson needs to keep up the production like he's been doing, along with Rob Liddington. And UCLA, it's kind of the same deal. They're going to have to rely upon Rock, but if he can't do it, they really, really need Melavai Lavu to really step up as he has already, and Gasparino as well. 2 guys that have played well. Roman Martin needs to maybe get a little bit more production in there. It's going to be Martin and Dean West are probably the 2 guys they need to get going, especially against TCU this weekend. So for me, I think it's watching the offenses. It's really the guys that are not the star players in the order trying to come together, and Franco and Roman Martin, I think, for me, would be the 2 key players.
Running support to the guys that you're expecting. I love that, JB. Good call. Good call. And Josh, the time has come to pick them, my friend. So I'm curious, TCU, UCLA, who you got?
I still can't fully decide. I've been sitting here mulling over what I'm going to do here, and I really don't know. I think I'll just go with UCLA. They're the home team. I think they're a slightly better team overall. I feel like it's the safer pick. But it could go either way. Those are 2 stacked lineups. I mean, any number of outcomes, I don't really think anything would fully shock me. Truly, I'll go with UCLA just because I think they're a slightly better team overall in the home team. So it's a cop-out pick.
Okay. All right. Copping out. Love it. First selection. Jake, what are you thinking for this one, man?
Yeah, I think I'm also going to go UCLA. Similar, pretty much the same exact reasons as Josh mentioned. They're the home team, and I think they're them not having to face Lepore on Friday really kind of sets the edge for me picking UCLA.
I think so. JB,
This is it's actually harder for me than you'd think. Being from there, I know how poor the environment is in Westwood as a baseball environment. It's not going to be a crowd intimidation at all. I really have a gut feeling about TCU here, which is like kind of surprising if you know my takes about West Coast baseball, but it feels wrong to go away from UCLA. So I'm going to take UCLA, but I'll leave it on record that I have a somewhat gut feeling that TCU could do some noise, but I'll take UCLA officially.
Crazy you referenced a gut feeling, JB, because I have one of those myself, and I think I may have to save the graphic here and take TCU. I'll take TCU, but I will say I don't think we're talking enough about at least on air Mulavai Lavu, who I think Josh, JB, Jake, one of you guys said earlier this is arguably the hottest bat in America right now, and I'm not going to dispute that. The guy is just on literal fire. Like he's a safety hazard at this point.
Hasn't struck out once, 96% Z-Con, and we talked about that 108 max and 106 90th percentile EV. I mean, can't beat that.
One more time, run through those numbers. I'm sorry.
108 max exit velocity is 108, 109, 106 90th percentile with a 96% Z-Con, and he hasn't struck out once. Only 20 plate appearances, but yeah,
What's coming?
deserves it.
What the setup was for.
What do you mean you knew it was coming?
You're predictable. That's all I'll say.
Predictable. Whatever. If I'm so predictable, then what series are we talking about next, Josh?
The Amagi College Baseball Series. Amagi Bank, is that what it's called? Amagi Bank
Are you
College
freaking
Baseball
kidding
Series.
me? Whatever. All right, fine. The Amagi Bank College Baseball Series. One of the big events this weekend is loaded, guys. And again, interesting that you said, Josh, when you were kind of describing it a minute ago, but several of these teams now immensely more interesting following a big first weekend. But you're looking at a pool of Florida State, Auburn, Louisville, Kansas State, Nebraska, and Michigan. I mean, let's talk about some teams that have either impressed, looked impressive, but had some question marks, and then outright been superstars offensively. This is a loaded pool. And Jake, we're going to start with you on this one. Looking at these 6 teams, what's the biggest X factor for you?
Biggest X factor, I feel like it's just that Florida State kind of looks like one of the best teams in the country to start the season. They win 5-1 over JMU in their season opener, and then they get back-to-back run rule victories over JMU and then Jacksonville in the midweek. They're hitting for I looked it up before we started here. They're hitting for a 970 team OPS, and they've scored 34 runs in 3 games. They're also pitching to a 3.38 team ERA. We're also going to get the first look at my guy Trey Beard against Michigan on Sunday. He hasn't pitched yet this year. I'm assuming he's going to go Sunday against Michigan. But FSU looks like the kind of the overall favorites coming into it. Josh talked about Auburn, and their struggles so far. Also, we have them in Louisville who kind of came out the gate a little bit slow, but we got 2 of the hottest teams right now in Kansas State and Michigan. So I mean, there's a wide variety of teams like you mentioned.
Early season baseball, 2 of the hottest teams in the country, Kansas State and Michigan, just like we drew it up. JB, looking at this one, man, 6 teams, and Jake put it very eloquently. There's teams that have stumbled out of the gate, teams that have exploded out of the gate, and arguably one that's been the best team in the country thus far. I'm curious, when you look at this, what catches your eye the most?
Well, I'll leave the Tigers aspect of this to Josh to talk about since he's well-versed, and I'm going to hit on the Louisville Cardinals. Louisville started off really slow against Michigan State. Then they put up 9 runs, and then in a game where it looked like Xavier had a chance to knock them off, they put up 23 yesterday. So it's a very, very interesting spot to see them. The pitching has been the biggest issue, and we talked about how we were surprised Peter Michael wasn't in the rotation. Then he goes in the midweek, has a poor start. Their weekend rotation looked awful besides on Sunday. So it's kind of a roll of the dice what happens. I think the biggest thing to see is how does this Louisville pitching staff look and if Zion Rose is ready to play. Those are the 2 things that I think are going to be the biggest keys for Louisville. And I think they're honestly one of the more interesting teams to follow, especially with their schedule, as they will have Nebraska, Michigan, and then the aforementioned Tigers as the last game. So they have a path to win at least 2, if not 3 games in this tournament. And it all depends on kind of how the pitching holds up and if the offense continues the recent form.
Love it. Josh, we've set the ball on the tee for you. I know you're going to want to talk about Auburn a little bit more here, but looking at it maybe from that perspective and then from a broader one, what do you think that the largest kind of tell about how this event tournament is going to go, what do you think that it might be for any of the teams?
That's a great question, Drew.
Thank you.
I think, how do I put this? I have a concept in my head. I just don't know how to word it. There have been a lot of teams coming into this field that had really impressive offensive performances the first weekend, and other teams the exact opposite. Auburn and Louisville being the opposite end, Kansas State, Florida State, a little bit of Michigan on the upper end of offensive performances. If those teams that I just mentioned with really, really good offensive showings can keep that up, smooth sailing. If Auburn and Louisville can make strides to improve to the point where we kind of thought they were, at least near it, I think it could very well be smooth sailing for them too, based on how other things have turned out to this point. I think a big key, before I talk about Auburn, I won't even talk on them for long because I really don't want to talk about them. I'm just going to be so honest. I think there's some interesting points with Nebraska here. I think Carson Yassa, who I've talked about, I think I drafted him as my Big Ten pitcher of the year. He might have fixed his control a little bit. That's kind of what he showed in that first inning. The StatCast data showed that he threw 64% strikes, although 37% whiff, which means it probably wasn't as great of a zone rate. But that's still such an improvement from what he's done in the past. And that was good enough to let him go 5 innings, only allowing 3 earned runs, but he struck out 9 guys and only walked 1. 9 strikeouts is what he can get at his max potential with how good his stuff is. The 1 walk is the really promising part, because if he can fix that control and reel in some command a little bit, he'll turn a corner and he'll be really good. I think they had some guys that stood up for them offensively too. Dylan Carey, Will Jeske, Josh Overbeek. Carey went 9 for 20 last weekend with 1 double, 1 triple, and 1 home run. Jeske had a couple home runs. Josh Overbeek went 8 for 17 with 4 doubles, 7 RBI. Those guys keep up those offensive performances. The way I talk about those first teams, I think they have a chance to pick off a couple games. Auburn, it's the same stuff that I've talked about already. I mean, it's pretty simple. Can the starters do as well as they did last weekend? No. Like, objectively, that was such a good performance. It's really not replicable against this kind of competition. But can they have similar production, I think, is important. And the offense, it's just guys besides Bub and Freilich. Can they step up? Can, like, guys at the bottom of the rotation actually put together some solid ABs, which we haven't seen so far? I think that's a really big key for Auburn. And, like, they still have potential. They have tons of life. And if that pitching staff can perform this week at least similarly to how they did against Youngstown State, they got a shot to pick off a couple games too, if not win all 3.
Definitely. I think it kind of goes back to what you were saying a minute ago that Coach Thompson was saying in his presser about how the ABs just haven't been competitive. It's sticking to that theme that you were going at earlier. There has to be a mental shift for the Tigers. And I think that maybe, I mean, on your behalf and on Auburn's fans' behalf, maybe it'll be this weekend, right? I'll shout out a guy that we haven't talked about. My favorite hitter of the year thus far, I'm going to say the hottest hitter in the country right now, maybe not named Levi Lavu. D. Kennedy of Kansas State has been literally in fuego. I mean, we're talking about a guy that thus far has got 3 home runs, 15 stakes, 5 stolen bases. I think he's rocking like a 500 average right now and has hit multiple balls over like 105 miles per hour exit velocity. We're talking obscene talent out of a guy that's had the puzzle pieces all on the table, just not in the right order yet. Is this him connecting the puzzle pieces? Has he gotten the sides down and now he's putting the center? Maybe. I don't know. If you understood that reference at home, drop me a comment. But it's time to pick. And Jake, we're going to start with you. With the Energy Bank College Baseball Series, who do you like?
I think I am going to pick Florida State. I mentioned them. I thought they were kind of the favorites coming into it. They just look like the most established team right now. And you'll notice I'm taking a more conservative approach with my picks this week. After only getting 1 right last weekend, I got to try to get points on the board. So I'm going to go Florida State.
Conservative Jake. Got it. I got it. JB, we'll go to you next, buddy. What are you thinking in this big event?
Yeah, I'm going to go against the obvious choice of Florida State, and I'm going to take Louisville for the fact that I like the scheduling of who they have, and I also like how the offense is progressing right now, especially if they can get Zion Rose back, there's a chance that is huge for them. And even without him, the offenses look great with Slanker and Lucas Moore really picking it up. So I'm going to take a chance on the pitching staff and go Louisville.
Slanker has had an impressive season thus far, despite kind of the slump. I'm glad we could shout him out there. Good shout. Josh, what are you thinking here, man? 6 teams, and we've laid it out. It's a loaded field that really it feels like anything could happen with.
Yeah, I'm probably going to go with the chalk pick here too with Florida State, but it's not necessarily just because I think they're the best team. I think a part of it is the scheduling and how the scheduling lines up with the pitching matchups specifically. I mean, Wes Mendez, all my Wes Mendez hype looked really, really positive in that first outing from him. He's going on Friday. Bryson Moore was our Saturday guy. He's facing Auburn on Saturday, and that's probably, at least to this point, the worst offensive team in the field. So if he struggles again, like he did last week he went 1 2/3 innings, allowed 3 earned runs and 4 hits. That kind of showing against an offense like Auburn that's just been stagnant right now, he can get away with it. And we haven't even seen Trade Beard yet, who will be on Sunday, and we all believe in. So I think it kind of lines up really well for Florida State to have a really cushiony path this weekend to take this thing. I don't know. Sleeper team, Kansas State. I'll throw that one out there.
I'm going to go K-State. I'm going to go K-State. I think teams that wear purple did well for me last weekend. All seriousness though, I just would like to see if this offense can stay hot. I mean, AJ Avasco is doing some things. I mean, my guy Gallagher from ETSU is doing stuff. I'm going to ride this offense. I'm well aware that there are better teams that I like more, but ride the hot hands. And I don't think Kansas State's giving me a reason not to trust them yet. And if I can be honest, I'm kind of taking the opposite of Jake's approach here. I'm gonna lean into the chaos and see what happens. So, all right, JB, we're gonna go to you for the lead on this one because we're talking about none other than the North Carolina Tar Heels hosting the East Carolina Pirates. And I'm curious, JB, this is a pretty marquee matchup. But looking at the teams thus far, what exactly are we looking at happening with this series? Because ECU was. What's a polite way to say it, JB?
They played pretty poor to start the year. They did win in their midweek today as we're recording this. They did beat who did they play today? I was watching earlier. I honestly forget. It was somebody in red.
The red team.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that.
Today?
I forget who they played today. They played somebody earlier today that I was watching.
It was Northern Illinois.
Northern Illinois. That's who it is. Sorry to the MAC people out there. I spaced on that one. But yeah, for ECU, it's really going to come down to how the pitching looks now. I'm curious to see if Sean Jenkins gets to go at all this weekend, maybe moves into a starting role. He did pitch in this game in the midweek, so possibly not because of that. But he was a really intriguing arm for them last year. It's really going to come down to Norby on Friday night. Playing at ECU on Friday night is going to be packed. It's going to be different than last year. We played there on a Sunday. It was dead. Nobody was in the crowd. This year, Friday night, it's going to be packed out. Everybody's going to be going crazy. And the thing with Norby, I think that team has started to notice, and I know will be a big focus going into the week, is you got to try to slow down the tempo on Ethan Norby. When he gets going and in his role, he just catch the ball, get back up on the mound, throw. That's his thing. And he speeds you up as a hitter, and that's how he really has a lot of success. So for us, it's really going to have to be slowing down Ethan Norby as a team for UNC to have success on Friday night and really just dealing with the crowd. I think that the offense has looked really good so far. Shout out Jake Schaffner. Gosh, he's looked really, really good. Gallagher's looked good. Macon Winslow's looked good. Those guys keep going. Owen Hull's one that I want to see take a step forward, hitting 0.63 to start. If he can take a jump forward along with Cooper Nicholson, those two guys could really propel UNC through the weekend. But ECU hasn't looked great so far. I think they have a chance to maybe pick off one on the weekend on Friday night if they do really well in that environment, but should be a weekend that UNC has a chance to go 8-0 to start the year.
Love it. Jake, we're going to go to you. Obviously, we're big fans of guys named Jake on this podcast. Schaffner, Bargery. I haven't met a Jake I don't like this year. So I'm curious, man, what do you think is going to be the tail of the tape with ECU and UNC? What do you see as being the dividing factor there?
Yeah, I think like JB kind of talked about, it's going to be a strong start from Ethan Norby to set the tone for them on the weekend. Obviously, we talked about it a bunch already. They didn't start out very sharp to start the season. They lost to Xavier, lost to Campbell in their midweek. But I don't want to underestimate a team that's got one of the best arms in the country and Ethan Norby in their rotation, and they got bats like Braden Burris, Jack Herring, Walker Barron, Austin Irby, and others. But they sure are slipping out of the gate. But they'll have a chance to try to make it right against a UNC team that's looked really good, like JB just talked about. They obviously swept Indiana, and they got a couple midweek victories. But the starting pitching is really, it's looked as advertised for UNC with DeCaro, Lynch, and Boaz all having strong starts. The bats are hitting. It's going to be a tough matchup for a struggling ECU team who's desperate for something to celebrate early on this year, but I think like the X factor is going to be how Ethan Norby goes on Friday.
Very, very true. I think that it's going to be interesting, especially with the home field advantage that you alluded to, with JB alluded to, with Norby specifically. If they get behind him and he can get on his, start with his shenanigans, it may be tricky. And I think we're going to have to see some maturity out of this UNC team to really kind of play their brand of ball and not fall into his tricks. We'll see what happens, though. He's, like you said, one of the best in the country, Jake. Josh, going to you, pal. ECU, UNC, again, kind of what's going to be the straw that stirs the drink for one of these teams that makes it a better end result?
Yeah, I think it's the rest of the lineup besides the top guys for ECU being competitive and being better than they were last weekend. I think that's kind of, as you said, the straw that stirs the drink. I think that's probably the key for them. This is always such a fun series every year, doing the home and home. And then, JB, is it in Durham this year? Is that the neutral site?
It's Durham again. Yeah, on Saturday.
Yeah, okay.
It'll be Durham again.
Yeah, okay. I know it used to rotate around. Yeah, I mean, it's always such a fun series. But like ECU's top guys, Jack Herring, Braden Burris, Austin Irby, all had OPSs over 1,000 for the opening weekend. But the rest of their lineup didn't really show up, and that was kind of their Achilles heel against Xavier. I think if they can step it up, that's a big key for them. Also, Gavin Van Kempen, the Saturday guy for East Carolina, I think he had a phenomenal start of the year, going 4 innings, no earned runs on 4 strikeouts, no walks. I think if he can have a similar performance going up against Folger Boaz on that Saturday against a way tougher lineup, I think that could be a key for them to pick one off at that quote-unquote neutral site. Durham's essentially Chapel Hill, let's be real here.
I'm glad you brought up Van Kempen, Josh. That was my only note to have as well. And I think that Boaz Van Kempen is going to be kind of a deceptively sickening pitching matchup there. JB, you've sang the praises of Folger Boaz for a minute now this season, so exciting to see what those two dudes can produce on Saturday. But shall we get to the picking? And JB, we'll start with you for your most obvious selection of the weekend. You're going Pirates, right?
I don't know if you can see it, but there you go. I think we know
can.
what's going down, so I'll just leave it to that. That's all we got.
I can see that. For those of you at home, JB is not wearing a shirt. He referenced a UNC tattoo on his chest. So pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff. Jake, we're going to you for your pick, man. What are you thinking?
Yeah. JB mentioned, he said a couple wheeze in there when he was talking about North Carolina, so I wasn't too shocked with that pick. I'm also going to go North Carolina. I mentioned, I think Norby's going to have a good shot at, and JB talked about it too. Maybe getting that Friday game, but I think the weekend as a whole is going to be too much for him. I'm going North Carolina.
Jake, are you a we now too?
I'm not. No.
Okay. Josh, I'm assuming you're going to be a we here as well.
Yeah, my family might kill me if I'm not a we right now, so I'll refer to him as we for the moment. Yeah, I'll go with UNC. I think that offense is just going to be too much for East Carolina to overcome. I really do think ECU could probably pick off that Saturday game, but I mean, coming into the year, we liked Carolina way better than we did ECU. Carolina started 5-0, ECU's 2-3. I don't think that really sways my opinion much towards the Pirates right now. So
I know Pirates faithful isn't liking you right now, Josh, especially on Twitter. They don't like you.
Yeah, and you know what? I didn't send anything to them personally, but I did a little mental victory lap considering they were the team that came for me the most on one of my Twitter posts for having them all the way down as a 3 seed to start the year in a bracketology, and then you lose a series to Xavier. Like that. I'm not saying I knew what I was talking about, but I might have been onto something. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, guys, you heard me just a minute ago saying that I'm going with a theme. I'm taking teams in purple. It stopped a minute ago. I guess it is we. I'll complete the sweep. We'll get the brooms out for UNC. All right, Josh, I'm going to let you take the lead here as we're going to talk about one of your. Oh, he's got the stadium coaster.
My water is sitting on a Carolina Stadium coaster right now, actually. So I think I can claim the Wii.
Water. Good deal.
I think it's empty enough now where I can tilt it and you can see it. No, you still can't see in it. You just got
to. That's a clear liquid. Nothing can be discerned from that.
It's a vodka
Josh,
soda.
we are. Exactly. I'm gonna let you take the lead on this one since we're talking about one of your favorite teams, Dallas Baptist. They're gonna be taking on UTSA in what could be a deceptively entertaining matchup this weekend.
Yeah, I think UTSA is a sneaky good team that they got a really good Friday guy in Robert Orlowski. I'll focus on DBU because I've been trying to lead that train a little bit. They had great weekends from their big names that were kind of expected. Jake Bennett went 3 for 9 with 2 home runs, 6 RBI, got walked 5 times. Keaton Grady and Dylan Cupp both also got walked 4 times. They've shown great plate discipline to start the year, getting some knocks too. A big question is, can Jared Schaefer, their, I think, Saturday guy, can he replicate that performance he had last week? He went 5 innings, not allowing a single run, 6 strikeouts, only 2 walks. If he can replicate that, that's probably enough to win a game against a UTSA lineup the way it's looked right now. I'm not sure what happened with Ryan Borberg in that opening matchup because that's their best pitcher on paper. He only went 2/3 of an inning because he allowed 3 runs, allowing 2 hits and walking 2 guys, and they yanked him. He's got to step that up to be able to compete with Orlowski on Friday if they want to have any kind of a fighting chance. UTSA's offense looked really, really good this past weekend. They averaged 14.3 runs a game. I think that this is going to be overall – my overarching take is this is going to be a super, super offensive series, and I really don't see how it's not. You can probably assume who I'm going to pick, but overall just expect to see a lot of runs, lots of overs in these 2 really high-powered offenses.
With you there. I think that's the key for me as well, is that we saw a lot of runs, and I imagine that's going to be duplicated, especially, like you said, if Borberg can't rein it in to, I guess, what we were expecting
right.
from him specifically. JB, going to you here. DBU, UTSA, a lot of letters, a lot of initials there. What words can you make with those letters?
Yeah, I mean, they both start off 4-0. I'll just quickly glance over because Josh is the one that really drove the ship on being passionate about these two. Kendall Dove, he started, had 4 innings, no runs, 5 strikeouts for UTSA. That's one to keep an eye on. For Dallas Baptist, Jake Bennett hit 500 with 4 homers and 8 RBIs. That's a guy that's gotten off to a really good start to the year with 4 homers. Might be leading the country with that, honestly, right now. Probably is. So, yeah, those are the 2 I think are the X factors there. But like Josh was saying, it's going to be high-powered offense.
I think so. Jake, any reason for you to kind of dissuade this thought that it's going to be offense v. offense? Pitchers are also invited, but, I mean, we'll see what happens.
No, not really. This is a battle between numbers 5 and 6 in my mid-major rankings.
True, good point.
DBU looked really sharp out the gate against Binghamton in their midweek versus Abilene Christian. They've outscored their opponents 45-9 in those 4 games. They're obviously swinging it well, but they're facing the UTSA staff that opponents are only hitting 221 against them to start the year. And UTSA also started 4-0. But yeah, I think it's going to be like everyone's saying right now. There's going to be a lot of runs scored. But if you can't make it out to Globe Life and you want to watch some other good baseball in the Dallas area, this is the place to be.
I would agree with that sentiment for sure. Josh, going to let you go first because, like you said, I think we know where you're going here. But what's your pick here?
It's DBU. I can't hop off the train now. Offense is good enough that it'll be able to carry them. UTSA's starters had such a good week last week. They're maybe due to regress a little bit, and Ryan Borberg is probably due to regress to the mean in a positive way. So I'll take DBU with some conviction.
If you jumped off a train, it would probably hurt you too, Josh, and that would prohibit you from doing podcasts. So not a good idea.
I've got a train right here that I have a chance to do it off of. So maybe we'll see one of these days.
I know. I believe me. We are well aware of your train. JB, who you got in this series, buddy?
I'll take DBU. I'll keep it short and sweet. They're the more established power. They're the teams coming in, playing at home. I think they got it.
Jake, where are you leaning here?
Yeah, I'm going with them. I'm going DBU mostly due to them playing at home. I think that UTSA is a good team, but I'm going Dallas Baptist.
I'll be interested. I'll take UTSA. We'll go Roadrunners. I think that this is an offense that looked good. The pitching looked really sound. I hold these teams in close enough regard at this point that it's a bit of a toss-up. So if you can call it balancing the graphic if you want to at home, I'm not going to fight you on that. Whatever. All right. For a graphic that I'm going to suspect in advance may be a little bit less balanced than the 3-1 split we just had, meaning I'm almost certain that we're going to have a clean sweep. Let's just cut it short here, shall we? Is anybody not going to pick Arkansas over Xavier?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Then let's do this. Jake, we're going to start with you. Which player for Arkansas needs to step up to lead this team towards a 3-0 sweep potentially over Xavier?
I don't know. I don't look at it as someone that needs to necessarily step up. I think Gabe Gackle is going to need to have a good start because he's going up against a legit ace and Ryan Peach. I talked about him going into last weekend when they were going to play ECU. Ryan Peach is a good pitcher. He's one of the better mid-major aces, I think. And then Gabe Gackle is just going to have to hold his own, and I think he's going to.
Word. JB, same question to you, man. Looking at this Arkansas team that we're all expecting to win this series, if nothing else, who do you want to see big things out of to see a big series win for the Hogs?
I guess I'll start. The guy I want to see the most is TJ Pompey. He's had an okay start, but I would love to see him pick it up. But the guy that I think is the key is Carson Brumbaugh. He's been the freshman starting shortstop for them. He's really struggled, so for him to get going would be huge for Arkansas.
Love it. That's a great shot for sure. Josh, same question to you, buddy. Who do you think is going to be the one driving the bus for Arkansas looking for a big series win here?
I'll say it'll be the reliever that really showed out the most last weekend in Arlington, Tate McGuire. He went 5 innings last year, 5 perfect innings last week, not last year. He didn't allow a single run, not a single hit, not a single walk. I think they're going to – one of these games at least is going to get into a really tight situation, and they're going to need to put their best guy out there. They'll probably roll with him again in maybe a long relief spot like they did last weekend. He obviously isn't going to replicate a perfect outing again, but if he can go out there and do similar things and really put the game away the way they expect him to, I think that's going to be critical in maybe getting a sweep here.
I think a lot of that might be the confidence too. Even if it's not the exact same perfect outcome, having the confidence that you can be that level of player is what we're going to need to see. Excuse me, that's not a we. What Arkansas is going to need to see. Yeah, I'm wearing red and black. Oh my God, what am I doing? Okay, let's move on.
It's Ash Wednesday. You need to repent.
Yeah, I sure do. I'm going to have to go pray for hours now. Jeez, great. All right, Michigan State and Texas, guys. A week ago, we probably would have poo-pooed this matchup even being here. Let's be frank. We'd have been like, what's happening here? Josh is clearly drunk, as we've alluded to a minute ago. But no, Michigan State has truly stepped up. I mean, we saw them kind of show out to the point that our buddy Mitch Stochnik was calling us out in the draft chat, the team chat, and saying, guys, this is what you get for Doubting Sparty. And there they came. The Spartans came out and really impressed in the opening weekend. Certainly a more significant test in the form of Texas, guys, who is our number 2 team as a group. JB, we'll start with you here. Michigan State, Texas. What's the driving force here?
I think Texas, it's just going to be the continuation of seeing the offense progress with Robbins and Tinney and Adrian Rodriguez and all those guys. You just want to see them keep progressing forward, I think is the biggest thing for Texas.
Absolutely. Jake, same question to you, pal. Looking at this, what's the X factor?
Yeah, I think it's going to be the pitching for Texas. We saw Michigan State put up a lot of runs against Louisville without much help from Ryan McKay, who was supposed to be their star on offense. But it's going to be Volantis, Harrison, and Riojas continuing to drive the force on the starting pitching.
Right, Josh. That leaves it up to you to say something positive about Michigan State.
That's actually where I was going, anyways. I'm going to take the other end of the same side of the ball y'all were talking about. And Michigan State's pitching, I think, or Aiden Donovan specifically, needs to have a similar performance they did last week. He only allowed 1 earned run in 5 innings. I think he needs to be able to go hand in hand with Ruger Riojas on Friday night for them to have a chance, because those Saturday, Sunday games are probably going to be hard to pick off. So, I mean, the offense was more of the sum of their own parts last weekend instead of a certain guy really stepping up. Yeah. Besides I guess Parker Pico or Randy Seymour. But I think they need to have more of those big guys step up on offense, so it's not just kind of everyone's scrapping here and there and like maybe coming up in a big spot. There needs to be a more definitive guy this week. And Aiden Donovan really needs to, like I said, step up on Friday night and do the same kind of thing to be able to have them compete.
I think so. It's going to be an interesting one. JB, we'll start with you. Who you got? Michigan State and Texas.
Texas, 100%.
Right. Oh, okay, 100%. He says. Jake, what are you thinking?
I'll go Texas, 99%.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna add 99% next to that since you said that. Josh, what are you thinking?
I'll go hook 'em 100%.
Oh my!
This is going to go so poorly, and Michigan State will now sweep.
Yeah.
I'll add fuel to the fire. So, I'm so sorry, Mitch. We're picking against Michigan State sweep again, but it's Texas. It's Texas. This is a loaded squad in every regard. And like JB said, if they accelerate, if they continue to do what they're doing, then it's going to be trouble for a lot of teams going forward. Moving on, Jack's College Baseball Classic. 4 teams. We're going to throw them together, shake up the hat. They're going to play each other, and it's going to be something good. We've got an interesting field, guys. LSU, Notre Dame, UCF, and Indiana. A couple of teams that made headlines this first weekend, some for more, long-lasting reasons than others. But an interesting grouping of teams nonetheless. Lots of teams here who I think have more questions to answer than we would have assumed heading into the season. And then there is also, of course, the juggernaut just waiting to see how many runs they can put on the board if what we've seen for the first week says anything. Josh, what's the we'll go quickly through this one. What do you think is the main driving force in this foursome of teams?
I think LSU is, very, very clearly the front runner here. The team that I think has the best chance to pick them off actually might be UCF. Guys like their catcher, Zach Skinner, what a weekend from him. He went 5 for 8 with 2 doubles, a triple, a home run, and 7 RBI. That's ridiculous numbers. Andrew Williamson had another phenomenal weekend, batting 400, 6 RBIs. I think their starting pitching was awesome. They had a couple guys go 6 innings. Not a single starting pitcher allow more than 1 earned run. They got to keep up that kind of stuff if they want to compete with these better offenses. They could have a potential emotional letdown from the midweek spot, which is like really not a common thing. But with it being an in-state rivalry, or quote-unquote rivalry, early in the year, 13-inning game, really emotional game, they could kind of have a little trouble recovering from that. But I think if they do, they could really give these teams some fits.
Could be. Well said. Jake, going to you now, man. Looking at this Jack's College Classic. 4 teams. I'm assuming you're going to say LSU is the kind of the heavy favorite here, but kind of the same thing as Josh brought up. Is there one that you see as being more likely to knock them off than the others?
Yeah, I do agree that LSU is obviously the favorite. I like what Josh had to say about UCF. I'll talk about Notre Dame though. Jack Riddell, he didn't have his best stuff in game 1 against FAU last weekend, but Caden Crowell and Ty Uber both did in their next 2 games. It's going to be interesting because I feel like Riddell has the stuff to keep them in any game on Friday, and then if Crowell and Uber put up performance like they did, they could get a couple wins this weekend as well. But Cornell transfer Mark Quattrani was huge for the Irish. He started out really hot. He's hit like 556. He's 5 for 9 is what I'm seeing. 3 walks. He's really the driving force of that offense with Jace Lee and Bino Waters both homering over the weekend. As a team, they scored 22 runs against FAU, and that offense is going to need to keep it up against UCF on Friday. They get LSU on Saturday, and then Indiana to finish it off on Sunday.
Yep, well said. JB, the guys have said a lot. I'm curious, though, looking at this set of 3 teams, Notre Dame, UCF, Indiana, if any of them had the shot to knock off LSU, who would you put your money on?
I think UCF on Sunday's probably got the best chance out of the group. Just from the fact that, I think it's great to have Kassan Evans go against Indiana. It's a very passive team, as we saw against UNC. That's a great bounce-back start for him. Cooper Moore against Notre Dame. He's a guy who should give them quality innings there. And then it's really a test for William Schmidt to bounce back after kind of a rocky first outing against a good UCF offense. So I think that's really the chance for them to see what they really got.
I agree. Well said. Looking forward to seeing what Schmidt can do. I think I told you guys maybe in our group chat I really like William Schmidt as a starter this season. So not the best start from him, but LSU has been just ridiculous, as you would imagine. Josh, starting with you, what are you picking here, sir?
LSU chalk pick. I've had no
What?
explanation needed. I know, right?
Jake, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm going LSU. You have to take LSU.
JB?
LSU.
Oh my gosh. You guys are going to make me take somebody, right? I've got to do something crazy? No, I already told you I'm picking teams that wear purple this week. LSU. All right. Looking at our final one, guys, the Round Rock Classic. It's a classic. Nobody can argue. 4 teams in this one: Oregon State, Southern Miss, Baylor, Purdue. Odd collective. Odd group here. Bizarre teams assorted. This is very much I'm going to click random on the team selection screen 4 times and just do what it says. Looking at you, though, JB, to walk us through, what do you think the X factor is for the Round Rock Classic for any of these teams?
I think the most interesting one will be to see Oregon State against Southern Miss on Saturday. I think it'll be interesting to see Kleinschmidt go out there and try to prove himself again with another good outing, following up the last one against a Southern Miss team that comes off of beating Santa Barbara, and they beat a very good Nathan Aceves last week. So I think it's going to be a really, really interesting matchup, probably the most interesting of the weekend, honestly.
I think that's a fair assessment, JB, with you there. Josh, going to go to you, man. Looking at these teams, who's the straw stirring the drink for any of these teams specifically?
I think the top of Baylor's rotation, if they do the same kind of thing they did last weekend, that could be like a real key in picking off one of these games against the bigger teams. Lucas Davenport and Ethan Calder are both their Friday and Saturday guys. They went 4 2/3 and 3 2/3 specifically, neither allowing a run, both having at least 5 strikeouts. If they can perform that same way against tougher competition, I think that they'll probably be able to pick off one of those teams, considering how the offense looked. Also, I know we're probably not going to talk much about Purdue. Did y'all see what Zach Erdman, their Saturday guy, did y'all see his stat line from this past week?
I did.
It was impressive, wasn't it?
He went 8 innings, not allowing a single run, only 3 hits, 7 strikeouts, and didn't walk a single guy. That's nuts. I don't know if he's going to be able to keep that. Well, he definitely won't be able to keep that up. But, like, you know, Cole Van Assen was supposed to be their Friday guy, and, like, he still is going to be, and he looked really good too. So, I mean, if those 2 guys can look as relatively as good as they did last weekend, Oregon State and Southern Miss could be in some trouble.
Imagine if Erdman did just pitch 8 innings of 3-hit ball every time he went out there. What a or Purdue. What a story. What a story, Mark. Jake, looking at you, man. Looking at these teams, what's catching your eye the most?
Yeah, I think the must-watch game is going to be that Saturday game, Southern Miss and Oregon State. But I'm going to watch the Oregon State Baylor game as well on Friday. We're going to get, it's going to be Dax Whitney against the Baylor offense that Josh just talked about is hitting well. Tice Armstrong went crazy in that first game, the 3 grand slams. Travis Sanders, they have a couple other guys that's hitting like 500 to start the year as well. I think it's going to be an interesting matchup. I like the thought of Dax Whitney going against that offense as a whole, but it's going to be fun to watch.
I'm going to pitch this to you guys. What are the odds, and I'm looking for you guys to like set odds of some sort. What are the odds that Tice Armstrong hits at least 1 grand slam over the weekend?
I mean, if we're getting super technical with it, it's probably like
Plus 2,000.
no, like not that high. I'm thinking like plus. Oh man, over the weekend, like plus 700-800. Probably that's the technical answer. I think. I don't know.
I think I saw in that game that he came up again later in the game with bases loaded, but like walked or got hit with the pitch or something. So he had like another chance to hit another one.
Yeah,
wouldn't that have been insane? It's truly insane. All right, let's get to picking here, guys. Round Rock Classic. JB, we're going to start with you. Who do you like in this one?
I'm going to take Oregon State. I mean, it's kind of the chalk pick, but, I just believe in the pitching staff really overwhelming a lot of other teams there.
Coach, where are we leaning on this one?
I feel the same exact way for the same reasons. I'm going to Oregon State.
Josh, what are you thinking here, buddy?
You can probably guess where I'm going here. I'll go Southern Miss. That starting pitching has to improve, but that offense is why I fell in love with that team, and they just seem to step up when needed most. So I'm going to bank on them doing it for a second weekend in a row.
Love it. Good shot. I admire that pick. I thought about taking Southern Miss, but I think I'm going to go Oregon State as well. It's just that's a pitching staff that I could set my watch to. I hate it because I really wish I could ride with you in Southern Miss for a second straight week. So
You still got time. You can hop on board.
Nah, I'm gonna stick Oregon State here. I'm gonna stick Oregon State. All right, guys, that does it for our weekend pick'em. Should be another interesting weekend, fellas. And I know that for our next episode, obviously, we're going to be breaking down what happened through this weekend series. We've got to have a lot of interesting things to talk about, obviously, from around the game, beyond just these 8 groups. But lots of stuff going on beyond that, so we're going to talk about that really quick. Jake, I'm going to ask you, tell the folks at home what you're working on, where they can find you between our episodes of college baseball now.
You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Barge. There's still ice and snow all over the ground up here at my house. There's not much baseball going on, so it's tough for me to get out and watch anything. But as soon as that goes away and we get ball up here, I'm gonna be out to the ballpark and getting some live looks, getting some video and all that good stuff.
Can't wait for that. JB, what are you working on, and where can the folks find you between episodes?
Yeah, it's at JB_Sebastiano on Twitter. Got a live looks coming out for the Indiana UNC series soon, and then we'll have another one this week that kind of goes over the Richmond UNC game and then ECU UNC this weekend, kind of as a combo. So you'll get a little bit of that. So some more live looks, some video too. That'll be it.
Video, love that. Okay, and Mr. Catlett, where can the folks find you between episodes, and what are you working on?
You can find me on Twitter at JoshCatlett3. I don't have as many live looks articles coming out as JB, but I do have the one that'll be out by the time this releases. So you can go check that out. I think it's pretty good work. I enjoyed writing that one up. That's probably about it right now. Nothing like terribly new for me in the next few days.
Yeah, that's all right though. Something good on the market as you're listening to this episode. If you're interested in following me, you may do so on the Twitter machine, on Instagram, on Blue Sky, at DrewIsOK. I want to thank all of you following me on Blue Sky randomly lately. Appreciate that. Weird. Awesome. Definitely want to tell you guys to check out prospectslive.com. Membership starting as low as $7 a month. You can get all of the wonderful written and audio content, our lists, our tools, prospectslive.com, $7 a month. Such a bargain for your baseball fandom at any and every level of the game. We're going to be working on all kinds of stuff as a team. The Daily Sheet, College Daily Sheet has started, as we kind of alluded to, and man, it is going great. So proud of that. The Free Friday edition was really well received. Just having a great time with it. It is a labor of love, as Jake can attest to. He did it last year. It is a labor of love. And I think I'll quote Jake directly as saying the Big 12, what did he say? The Big 12 really stinks sometimes.
I think I just said they stink. Yeah.
So get ready, Drew. You're learning Big 12 baseball this year, and alas, that's what I'm doing. But anyway, I want to thank you all for listening, watching. I want to encourage you. Leave us a comment down below. Let us know what the weekend series you're most looking forward to is going to be for the weekend of this. What is this? February 20 through 22. That weekend. Let us know what series you're most looking forward to. Leave us a like and a 5-star review, all those fun things, because we love to see them. But until next time, for Josh, for JB, for Jake, I'm Drew with a J, and we will see you next time.